Well, hello.
Hola.
Ooh, my hair's all over the place, Cheryl. What's up? How you
Bonjour.
doing, sir?
I'm well.
Look, it's been a long day. I'm sorry. It's been a long day, Cheryl.
You know
Um,
what made me feel old?
that gray hair on your chin.
That too. But the fact I didn't know Charlemagne the God was my age. Like he's like
Wh-
6 months older than me.
Why does that make you feel old?
Cause I thought he was like way older than me.
Oh, I see. Mm.
Like I really felt like he was like way older than me. And come to find out, he's like only 6 months older than me.
Okay.
That was sobering.
Okay. Well,
That was
with
your
that,
opportunity to give me an old joke. But since you did not take the opportunity, I would never miss an opportunity to give you a.
I mean, I don't know what you want me to say. You said you didn't realize that that Charlemagne was your age. I guess you didn't realize that y'all were both old. I don't know what you want me to say. Like, you're old. Charlemagne is the same age as you. Old. You literally have gray hair on your chin right now. I don't need to say nothing. I don't feel like,
See what
oh,
see what I'm really looking. I'm not even supposed to be this way over here on Teacher Project 2.0.
mm, mm, mm. Hey, what's up, y'all? How's everybody doing? It's the
Hey
holiday edition.
everybody.
This is the holiday edition of the Teacher Project 2.0. Today is my first official day of my Christmas vacation or holiday vacation, and I spent all day outside. Okay, I'm just getting in the house 15 minutes ago. Okay, it has been that kind of a day. All right. Um, my online strategy of ordering all my gifts online has failed me. It has failed me. Uh, and there it is. Um, ready to get this party started?
Let's get this party started.
All right, you guys. So, I know that's what I meant to do. You know, how you pick up your phone to do one thing and you end up doing 20 other things, Sharon. I meant to pick up my phone so I could share this out, so everybody would know to come over here and hang out with us. Um, got a couple of stories we want to get into today. Uh, so you want to start with the Taliban?
Sure.
All
Did you get
right.
the Reuters story?
Yeah, I have the Reuters
Okay.
one. That's the one I have pulled up. Okay. I'm putting this link in the chat, you guys. This is coming from Reuters. This is dated December 22nd. Um, and this is an international story, okay? This is an international story. So let me get to it. Excuse me, Lord. Kabul, December 22nd. Afghanistan's Taliban run administration said on Tuesday it closed universities to women, partly due to female students not adhering to its interpretation of the Islamic dress code in a decision that was condemned globally. Notice it said its interpretation of the Islamic dress code. Female university students were turned away from campuses on Wednesday, and the higher education ministry said their access would be suspended until further notice. The move prompted strong condemnation from foreign governments and criticism from Afghans, sparking protests in Afghan cities. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said the Taliban were trying to sentence Afghanistan's women to a dark future without opportunity by barring them from attending universities. Acting Higher Education Minister Nida Mohammed Nadim, I hope I said that right, is his in his first comments on the matter told Afghan state broadcaster RTA that several issues had prompted the decision, including female students not wearing appropriate Islamic attire and interaction between students of different genders taking place. They didn't observe hijab. They were coming with the clothes that mostly women wear to go to a wedding, he said. Blinken called on the Taliban to reverse the ban. We are engaged with other countries on this right now. They are going to be cost if this is not reversed. Mm. The U.S. Secretary of State told a news conference declining to provide specifics. We will pursue them with allies and with partners. You want me to keep reading, or is that the gist of it, or do you want me to keep going?
I mean, that's the gist of it. The reason that uh, when things like this happen, they don't happen in a vacuum. And you got to look, when you look at when they say, oh, there will be consequences or there will be repercussions to this, um, they are not just, blowing smoke. And so we could find our, I'm not saying that we're going to be, in another, combative situation where we have troops on the ground, but there could be a situation where sanctions and different things are happening because you have women being told, we need you to just stay your behind home and have some babies and cook some food. At this point, earlier this week, really be, they told all schools to bar any female over sixth grade from the school. So you cannot get education if you are a girl or a woman past the sixth grade now there, which in
Wow.
2022 is a sobering, thing. This is 2022. And it's not like we're talking about a country that's in the remote jungle where they have their own educational system, their own methods of, because I never want to conflate what people call indigenous, and this really be indigenous cultures and
Mhm.
populations to not having education. They absolutely have education. They have phenomenal education systems. Their education systems may not look like ours and may be different from what we, look for, but it is theirs, and they absolutely have education there. The Taliban, what they're doing is basically saying, we don't want you having any knowledge. We don't want you learning anything. And I think it's sad. I think when I heard this story, I thought it was really sad to say no girl over sixth grade can go to school. Schools, it is illegal for you to allow them in your building. Right now, they have protests going on in the universities in Afghanistan where the men are saying, some of them are protesting by not taking exams, saying that they're not going to enroll in school, back at the schools, if they don't allow women to come. Um, and I think too, and I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna be done. I'm gonna monitor how the US responds to this, because to me, it's always telling their response to certain things. Their silence on things, speaks. Silence to me in situations like this means, okay, I have no problem with that. So
I feel you, and I I don't have much of an opinion, um, because I feel like for me, I'm trying to choose my words carefully because I don't want to say I don't care because it's not that I don't care. I guess my attitude about this is very similar to other people's attitude about the Ukraine. I just feel like it's not my problem. And I understand what you're saying about how it can spread and sanctions and how it can maybe pull us into another conflict in Afghanistan. But for me, that goes deeper because I feel like our issue with Afghanistan has nothing to do with anything that they ever say it's about. Like you know what I mean? Like us being over there as long as we were using 9/11 as the excuse. I mean, like I don't even want to go that deep, but this is bigger than education. This isn't about education. This is about them finding another way to insert themselves in the goings on in that region. That's just my opinion. I think they're going to use education as the excuse. Now, how far they take it and how deep it goes, you know, I don't know. But I just think this is deeper. I think this is about the United States finding a way to get back into a region that they never really wanted to leave, but only left due to political pressure
I
from
said,
people
but
saying
I do
get out
think
of there.
that if you look at the lay of the land over there, there's a lot of unrest going on. You have
Mm-hmm.
Iran with the killings of people surrounding women not wearing the hijab and so forth, and that whole
Mm-hmm.
thing that's going on over there, like in a lot of the countries over there in the Mesopotamic region, and in south central part of Asia as well, it's really heating up.
And I
This
will
is just one
say,
of many
I'm sorry.
issues that I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I did
No, no, no,
think
no.
this
I
is
was cutting you off. Go
many
ahead. My bad.
issues that will bring, America back over there. And so over here we try to be ahead of the curve and ahead of
Yeah,
the
yeah, we
the
do.
news
We have been a lot of times.
on these things. So, something like this, you know, could be a catalyst for them to say, okay, now, they kind of turned a blind eye to the whole situation of them killing women and imprisoning women for not wearing jobs. This is another straw on the camel's back with the whole you can't go to school past sixth grade. When are we going to get to the straw where we say enough is enough? And I think the only reason they haven't gotten there is they're too busy sending billions of dollars over to um to Ukraine, and that's their focus right now.
Right. And I will say this. I absolutely agree that I think this is preemptive to what they see going on in Iran. And rather than they're worried about it spreading. And like you said, with the women in Iran stepping up and they burning their hijabs and pushing back, I think they also see the progression that's going on in Saudi Arabia. And we already talked about how that is very what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a token. Like they're not really giving people, the king of Saudi Arabia is not all that he's trying to put it out there to be, but he's giving women these rights. Oh, you can drive a car now. Oh, you can do these things. So I do feel like the Taliban is being preemptive and saying, whoa, 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 we don't want the women here to get no funny ideas. We don't want them to think that this is about to be a free for all, because it's not. So I do agree with you there that they are locking it down to be very preemptive. That's how I feel about it. Um, and again, it does affect education, and I don't. That's why I wanted to be careful with my words. I don't want it to sound like I don't care, but I just think it's bigger than that. I think I think education is going to be used as the tool. And you're right, we have been ahead of the curve. If y'all go back and listen to the our old episodes, especially as it related to the pandemic and everything, we have been ahead of the curve on a lot of. As a matter of fact, one of the articles we're going to read today, we told y'all was coming. We told y'all it was going to happen. Um, and El Teddy, you are, y'all know El Teddy is the researcher of the group. So we'll definitely keep our eye on it. And y'all know how we will definitely circle back around and let y'all know, see, this is happening. This is happening. This is what happened. So we'll definitely keep our eye on it, y'all. And see how it continues to be the effect in the Middle East in that region. So hey, everybody in the chat, come on in, y'all. Come on
Hey
in and take a seat at
everybody.
the desk. Find a desk. Doctor El Teddy prefers that you fill in from the front to the back. He will call on you if you try to hide in the back of the room. I'm just telling y'all what I know. I'm just telling you what I know.
I mean, I usually, my students will go to the back. My first thing is, hey, come up here for a second. Yeah, come up here. Now you're gonna be my special. See, you sat in the back today. Great. You're gonna stand up here in the front with me today and help me out, so that we could all see the wonderful outfit you have on today. Because you look real nice. I mean, they're all wearing school uniform in that way, but still,
Right.
But you try
Well,
to hide in the
I
back. No,
arrange
we'll
my
hide.
desk. I arrange my desk so there is no front or back. My desks are they're facing each other, and there's an aisle down the middle. And I walk the aisle that's down the middle. So there really is no front or back. I mean, it technically still is a front and back, but there's no front of the classroom back. You all right there. And now that my classes are small, like when I had 30 kids in the class, yeah, somebody's got to be in the back. But now that my classes are smaller, oh no, 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 no,
Because
no.
even when I do it that way, like I had classes because I had like a class of 48 one time
Oh my
all by
God.
myself. And I would have them facing each other but the class was I really couldn't get a aisle down the middle because it just was no room.
Yeah, there's
And
nothing you can do
so
with that. Oh my
essentially
gosh.
I
You needed
still
a
would have,
you needed one of those college
even
classrooms with
with
the
them
theater.
facing each other,
Yeah, you
you
needed
got
that
the
college
corners.
classroom.
You still got the corners where
Yeah, you
somebody
do.
inevitably ends up in the corner. And so I'm
Hmm.
like, mm-hmm.
I think my largest class was 37. I think my
My
largest
largest
was
was
37.
48. Hell,
And then
I've
and
had
I was
AP
calling the
classes
union.
over
Look, I
40.
was on the phone with the union, like, hello.
I've had AP classes over 40.
Oh no, no, no. Oh, that's crazy. That's like contrary to the whole model of AP. But anyway, don't even listen. That's another You know what? We should do a whole. I think we did one time. Maybe talk about. Did we do a video on AP? I don't know if we did a video just on AP.
I don't think we did.
You know, I have a. Okay, let me get. I'm sorry, I don't want to get too far off of it. I do have an idea that maybe one day we could talk. Speaking of corner culture, we need to find out where Belize is. We need to check on
Oh yeah,
Belize.
we need to check on Belize.
I know she's got, we know she's got a lot going on, but she came around for a while and then she kind of fell back off. We need to all check in on Belize, you guys. If y'all follow her on Instagrams, just send her a
She's in the
happy
mod chat
holidays.
as well. Mod chat as well.
Yeah, just send her a happy holidays thinking of you. Don't, if she's busy or whatever, but send her a happy holidays thinking of you. Anyway, that was just a side thought. Maybe going into 2023, that could be a topic, El Teddy, that we could discuss is maybe we could do a show just talking about these quote unquote advanced classes and programs and see if they're sort of dated, where they are today. Are they effective? Are they needed? And I have a reason why I'm coming up. I have a reason why that conversation. And it sort of talks, one of the articles we're going to talk about today sort of touches on that. But anyway, let's get to the next article. Speaking of which, but we'll definitely keep you guys, we'll definitely stay on top of that. Stay on top of that. Okay. The next one, do you want to talk about the partisan divide of the view of schools? Do you want to talk about
Let's do partisan divide and then we'll hit Winston-Salem. Because the Winston-Salem is a lot going
and the
on.
Winston-Salem actually gets into what we're going to be doing with the 16. I mean, not exactly with the 1619 project, but it's in line with that a little bit. What do you think? Okay. All right, let's do this then. Here comes the link, you guys. And I think this, honestly, El Teddy, this is a conversation that I feel like we could maybe invite some other educators and do sort of like a town hall on this conversation, because this is a bigger conversation, and I think it goes deeper than just partisan thoughts. But for this article, we'll start there. But I think this is something we can
there was a lot in this article, and there's a lot of things that you could take and break out of this. When I read it, I said, "Oh, this was a good one."
We need to start keeping our list again. Remember at one time we had a list. Hold on, let me keep
my list
again.
Let me read the article. The keeper of the list.
All right, keeper of the
list.
I'll
be the researcher. You'll be the keeper.
There you go. Boom, and I'm the keeper of the list. Okay. Yahoo News, you guys. This is coming from Yahoo, December the 21st. New poll shows stark partisan divide when it comes to Americans' view of schools. This is a deep, y'all. This is so deep. Please, when we get off of here, click that link and read this article, y'all. This is deep. A Yahoo poll finds that most Americans, 52%, believe that today's K-12 students are receiving only a fair to poor education. In large part because an overwhelming number of Republicans, 62%, think that the U.S. education is worse now than when they were in school. Just 16% of Republicans say education today is better. In contrast, Democrats are more than twice as likely as Republicans to say today's K-12 students are receiving a better education than they did, 40%, and less than half as likely as Republicans to say today's education is worse, at 28%. In light of the ongoing culture wars over how to talk and teach about race, gender, sexual orientation, and U.S. history in schools, and the parents' rights movement that has sprung up on the right as a result, such differences of opinion between Democrats and Republicans might seem inevitable. But they also reveal a deeper and more distressing divide. According to the Video News YouGov poll, Faith in the American Dream, the ideal embodied by education that each successive generation will be better off than the one that came before, is becoming increasingly polarized as well. In other words, Republicans are not only much more likely than Democrats to believe American education is getting worse, they're also much more likely to believe that American life is getting worse. And I think that that's an interesting connection. The survey of 1,500 U.S. adults, which was conducted from December 15th to the 19th, shows a surprising level of agreement when Democrats and Republicans are asked to access their own education experience. Overall, more than 3 out of 4 Americans, 77%, rate the education they received as excellent or good, while just 21% rated only as fair or poor, with very little difference separating Democrats at 82% and Republicans at 81%. Um, Democrats have 17% being negative and Republicans 18% being negative, and then the 82% and the 81% was positive. I'm sorry, I should have read that better. There's a chart here. That's why you guys need to go look at the article, because there's a chart here that breaks it down, not just by by political party, but also by ethnicity and income. Okay, so it's interesting to see it based on those categories as well. Meanwhile, Republicans 67% are even more likely than Democrats at 61% to describe the opportunities that were available to them after completing their education as excellent or good. But Republican attitudes changed drastically when asked about education today. In that case, a mere 31% of them rate K through 12 education positively, a full 50% points lower than the number who say the same about their own education. And just 35% give a good or excellent rating to the opportunities that will be available to U.S. students today, about half the number who describe the opportunities that were available to them in those terms. In contrast, majorities of Democrats gave positive ratings to today's education at 54% and opportunities at 54%, less than 4 and 10, 39% and 34% respectively rate them negatively. It's tempting to attribute all of the polarization to the classroom culture wars that have gripped school boards and statewide elections in recent months. And the Yahoo News YouGov poll certainly shows that Democrats and Republicans disagree about addressing race, gender, sexuality, and even U.S. history in school. For instance, two-thirds of Republicans, 66%, identify parents not having enough say over what is taught as a major problem. Just 26% of Democrats concur. Roughly the same number of Republicans are convinced that the political viewpoint of what U.S. students are being taught in school today is liberal at 64% rather than conservative 9%. Democrats, on the other hand, have had no clear-cut view on the subject, with 19% saying it's liberal, 22% saying it's conservative, 29% saying it's neither, and 30% saying it's unsure. And again, there's another chart here that I think would be interesting to you all. It gives the bullet points of those charts. I think y'all get the point. Is there anything else you want me to highlight, Teddy? Because the article continues to go on, but I think we kind of got the point for the purposes of the discussion. There's a lot of percentages in that, but the reality is, I have thoughts. Go ahead, Teddy, because I have thoughts, but I need some water.
The one thing that I wanted to hear more of is, and I know you just can't put everything in the article. I wanted to hear more of why they believe it is. Like, what about it makes it work? Like, if you said it was worse, what is it? Because there's so many different factors. Like, I think a lot of people, when they think education, they simply base that on the students and how the students behave, or what the students they feel that the students know, or even if they conflate it to simple test scores. Should I answer the question and say whether or not I feel like education today is better or worse? Is that what we're supposed to do at this point?
Well,
Let me ask you, ma'am.
I think I shouldn't speak for you. Go ahead. Yeah, answer the question, and then you tell me why you think one way or the other.
I think we can say both.
Okay.
And both can be accurate. I do think the rigor today is better than it was. Some of the scope of what students have to learn is much more rigorous than it has been 20 years ago, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago. So I absolutely think that. I think the problem is, while a lot of energy is placed on the curriculum itself, there's not as much placed into the pedagogy. So you have a great scope and sequence, or the curriculum is rigorous and has way more than it used to have, but the pedagogy and the instruction taking place isn't all the time as good as it used to be. And I feel like that's where the bar a lot of times is missed. Um, because certain thing certain things just got thrown away with the bathwater. You know, they say don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Certain things got thrown away with the bathwater, and some of those things that were needed because they were sound pedagogy. They were needed as foundationally so that instruction could take place. And I think that we lost some of those things, and so and really, you know what I'm talking about. You see a lot of teachers, some new and even some old, that just can't instruct, and that's just a fact. Have no
Mhm.
business in a classroom providing instruction.
Yeah.
But like you said, this article is so it's so many things. I'm gonna be quiet so you can go because
No,
there's
go
so
ahead.
much
Go
in this
ahead.
article. No. Go ahead. You good. You good. You good. Go ahead.
So I agree with you that this isn't a one-stop shop answer.
Right.
It is layered. Um, but from so let me say this to you guys. I want you guys for a second to think about 50 years ago from where we are today. I ain't doing the math. Y'all figure it out. What is that? You're 50, El Teddy.
72.
What year were you born? Okay. I
She's
want you to think
trying
about.
to make me throw middle fingers, y'all. She's trying so hard. Not doing it,
Actually, we
y'all.
can even go back further than that. Let's go back further than that. Let's go back 70 years because I really want to go back a little bit further.
Be
So let's look at the 19.
1952.
Let's go back to the 1950s. Public education did not become a federal thing until the 1940s. Imagine your doctor. Imagine you going to a doctor that is practicing medicine the exact same way they practiced medicine in 1952. The model that we have for education today is pretty much, I'm talking about generally, not every single school, but generally speaking, it's the same model. Kids get up, they go to school at 8 o'clock in the morning, 7:30 for some places, 9 o'clock for some places. They go to 4 classes a day, 2 classes a day, 6 classes a day. They go to lunch, they are dismissed. Whatever they do in that time period, whatever, right? It's the same for every class. If you have a science, you might double it up because you got a lab. But for the most part, it's the same model that we had in 1952. Now, have there been changes over the years? Yes. We've gone to block teaching instead of 45-minute periods. Yes. They've adjusted schedules. They have early schools, late schools. Some things. But when you look at the model, even if you look at the subjects, most schools, public schools, offer the same block subjects. They go, you know what I mean? It's not real creative. And when you look at what's happened over the last 3 years, things have changed, minus the Pledge of Allegiance, right? Over the last 3 years, schools have been forced to change to get to more of a, to come at it from more of a tech side, but they were forced to do it. And so for most school districts, it was like my principal said when we were going through the pandemic, we're building a plane while we're flying. So for most school districts, it wasn't a proactive move, which means it was thrown together, right? So, like I'll give you an example for my school. We're a one-to-one school. Every student has a computer, right? Most teachers are doing most of what we do on computers now. But guess what? We got one tech guy for the whole building, and he's not our tech guy. He gets called to 3 or 4 different buildings at any given time. So when a kid's computer breaks down, or they lose it, or it gets stolen, or it crashes, or whatever happens, and they don't have a computer for 2 or 3 days. Now they're 2 or 3 days behind in their classes because everything is online now. So I'm rambling, but I just wanted to say, for me, when I say artists, is the school system better? Like you said, I do feel like the expectation of what we're supposed to do is better. I don't think that in most school districts that is what's happening. It look good on paper, but when you walk into these classrooms, that ain't what's going on.
Yeah, that's why I say the curriculum is
Yeah,
better,
yeah.
but the
Because when I first started
pedagogy and the
teaching, I didn't
actual
have a
instruction
curriculum.
is not. Here's the other
Right.
part, and even if we discussed what happened during the pandemic and the change that had to happen there, the problem is we have had 3 summers. This ain't new now, COVID. Now,
No.
if you recall, really, B, when we went into the summer of 2020, remember when we used to come on here and I was screaming, ranting, and raving, what are y'all going to do at district offices, during school board meetings, and at curriculum staffing meetings to change and prepare for the fact that you are going to be in either not in school or some form of hybrid? But because at that point, nobody was back in school. Remember, I was reading every day, all the different things.
Right.
And
Right.
they just sat
Right.
there and just waited for somebody to tell them what to do, or waited for things to happen so that they could be reactionary instead of being proactive and putting something
Proactive.
in place. And
Exactly.
then, even if I give them that year, when we got to the summer of 2021 and everybody was kind of either, more technology, you knew this was the wave of the future, they still didn't do anything to try to, say, okay, this is our new way of doing education. Let's go ahead and change how we look at this, how we think about this, and everything. They still went into that next school year, the start of the 2021-22 school year, as if, like your principal said, they're building it while they fly. And they had opportunities to build the freaking plane when it was on the freaking ground, and they just chose not to. They put their head in the sand and said, "We just gonna throw them back in school, and everything's just gonna go back to normal."
Exactly. Agreed. I agree. And I'm gonna say this too. Um, we have done, and it. The reality is, we're not dealing with the same kids. Let's just be real. We're not dealing with this. I know these are not the same kids that when I started teaching. I mean, and, they just, we could go into all the different reasons why they ain't the same, but child, they just not the same. We have done a piss poor job as a system across the board of explaining to these kids why this is important. And what I mean by that is, when I was teaching, when I first started teaching, yes, in 1915, El Teddy, before you say it, kids were taught and understood that education is important and that is their pathway to success. They didn't question, well, why am I learning calculus? They were like, I somewhere along the line, this is going to help me be successful. Well, why do I need to know biology? Somewhere along the line, this is going to help me be successful, because education was valued in the home. Even the poorest of homes where the parents didn't have nothing, they made sure their kids went to school. Even if they had to send them to school with, you know, with the bare minimum, they sent them to school. And now we are dealing with parents who no longer value education, and therefore the kids no longer value education. And so what I hear all day long is, I don't need this, I don't need this, this is stupid, why am I learning this, why do I need to know this, why do I need to know this? And we have done, as a system, we have done a poor job of explaining that to them, because a lot of times I think we feel like, well, you need to know, you just need to know, and these just ain't those kids. And so I go back to the model of, we've got to figure out where these kids are today, and we've got the model accordingly. That doesn't mean we lower we don't lower the bar. And I think that's been the problem, is that we just keep lowering the bar instead of keeping the bar where it is, but figuring out a different way to get the kids to reach that goal, which goes back to your conversation about rigor. You know, where I am right now in education, they just keep lowering the bar. They just keep lowering the bar. And I just feel like y'all keep lowering the bar, then of course education isn't where it used to be, because the bar was higher and you made kids achieve that bar. Everybody's afraid of the parents. But in that article, the Republicans said that they don't think the parents had enough. Excuse me, the parents have all the power because everybody's afraid of the parents. Everybody's afraid of what the parents are going to do or say, and so they keep lowering the bar because rather than they don't want to deal with they don't want to deal with the consequences of pissing a parent off. They just don't. So they just keep changing stuff and lowering the bar. We have I know I'm rambling, but in my school we have 300 seniors. 300 300 seniors who do not have their service learning hours to graduate. In my state, this is from the State Board of Education, not the county I work in. In the State Board of Education, students need a certain amount of service learning hours to graduate. They're supposed to do a certain amount every school year. And so by the time they become a senior, they should only have like 20 to do or whatever the number is. We have 300. Mind you, 2 of those years were waived for them. They waived 2 of those years because of the pandemic. You mean to tell me? And what are we doing now as a school system? Mind you, this is a statewide mandate. So now what the school is doing, all right, L. Teddy, is okay, let me finish my sentence and I'll be done. It's trying to figure out a way to get them around it rather than the consequence for them not doing it. I'm done.
Because I know you could go for another 20 minutes. I know you can. Because I know this article had a lot. We're going to have to come back to this article, though. Because it was a really good
article.
article.
That's why I said this article, we could actually do a whole panel on just this article. And I would love to hear different educators that are on different levels, that are in different areas of the country, to give their opinion. So I wrote it on the list. Matter of fact, we need to hold on to this article. But I would definitely be interested in coming back around to it, All right, y'all. That's it for that one. Okay. Because El Teddy has something to do, and he's been very, very patient with me, y'all. He's been very patient with me today. Well, the last 2 days, honestly. All right, let's go. The professor, you talking about that one? The professor who was slammed for CRT. Yep. All right. This article is coming from The Root. I'm going to drop the link in the chat.
Hey, everybody in the chat, if I haven't said hi to you. Hey, everybody.
Yeah, I see y'all coming in. Hey, everybody. Danny, are you a mod over here? If you're a mod over here, go ahead and drop the link for your coloring book and your self-help book, babe. If you're she got a coloring book too. New York, Lord, not New York. North Carolina professor who slammed CRT school sues the school after being fired. Professor has a history of standing firmly against critical race theory. Dr. David Phillips is suing the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction, claiming he was wrongfully terminated, according to CBS. Phillips claims his First Amendment rights were violated because his termination was the result of a controversial lecture hosted on Winston-Salem State's campus. Phillips filed a 61-page lawsuit in Wake County Superior Court alleging that of his 8 years of teaching English, 2021 was the first time he'd received pushback on his lessons. The report says that year he offered 3 optional seminars at the Governor's School West at Winston-Salem State University. In those lectures on the historically Black campus, he slammed CRT as race divisive and accused the curriculum of labeling people as oppressors and victims based on race. It looks like another white person has taken CRT a bit too personally. North Carolina public school officials fired him mid-semester per the report. Phillips' attorney, Hal Frampton, claims there were no lawful explanation to justify the professor's termination. He was a beloved, respected, and regarded by both students and faculty as an advocate for students who felt their voices weren't being heard and their perspectives weren't welcome at the governor's school. Frampton said in a statement, by firing him, the governor's school violated his constitutional right of free speech and unlawfully retaliated against him for deviating from the governor's school ideological orthodoxy. Whew, say that 20 times. The papers filed by the group indicate after 8 years of working as an English educator at the Accelerated Academic Summer Program, Phillips started to get some pushback. Despite using materials from his previous curriculum, some students and staff were not happy with his lectures. Phillips reported He stayed behind each lecture to answer questions despite the concern, but that wasn't enough. The next thing you know, Dr. Phillips was unceremoniously fired, ironically, the day after he gave a seminar on the importance of viewpoint diversity in higher education. There was no, here's what people are saying happened. Can you tell us the real story? There was no investigation, nothing that you would expect to see in a case like this. All right, El Teddy, go for it, because you wanted to talk about this one, child. Go on with your bad self.
So you got white boy here
Oh Lord.
at the HBCU teaching English, right? You work
Right.
at HBCU. Let's start there, okay? And you are in your lectures and that preaching white fragility at an HBCU, and you think that's going to go? First of all, I'm not going to even highlight the fact that it's an HBCU. Anywhere where you got a room filled with black students and you walk into that room and think that it's going to go over well or be a good idea for you to preach the merits of white fragility. Really? Like, you need it for them to tell you that, because that's what the lawyer keeps saying. Well, nobody never gave us pushback on that. Nobody ever told us there was anything wrong with it. You needed someone to tell you that it wasn't a good idea for you to bring your white behind, because I want to use some other choice words, but I'm not going to. For you to bring your white behind over here to this HBCU and tell the black students, you can't call us white people oppressors. You can't label us white people. You can't call yourselves victims and call us oppressors. Oh no, that's not fair. We need to have a fair. What was the terminology that the lawyer used? The importance of viewpoint diversity. Well, hello, sir. You got 98% of the colleges across the fruited plains that share your viewpoint. Where's the diversity? Please help me understand. And you really be, please stop me. Go really be, because I'm spiking. I'm spiking. I'm sorry. Go ahead, really be. I'm sorry. Cause first of all, Winston-Salem State University. I shudder to think that he just magically, just this, in 2021, decided to unsheath his mantle of white privilege and breastplate of white supremacy. I'm sure students in years past, over those 8 years, had come to you and say, "Hey, Dr. Phillips over here talking about some real crazy stuff over here. Y'all, anybody looked into him?" Go ahead, really be, before I spike out. Please get me.
So, I mean, listen, let me just look. I think the key in this case, if I'm looking at it from a legal standpoint, the key in this case is that they say they're alleging that his lecture was contrary to the ideology of the governor's school. So if he is not following the ideology of the governor's school, then I feel like they're within their rights to do what they did. And also remembering that North Carolina is a right to work state. They don't need a whole lot of reasons. They really don't. It's a right to work state. So from a legal aspect, I think that North Carolina's got a strong case, but from the aspect of, like you just said, El Teddy, I agree with everything you just said. Like, sir, you are trying to lecture to probably majority black students. You're trying to lecture about CRT.
First of all, you teach English. You teach
Yeah,
English.
because when I read that he was an English teacher, I was like, why?
What are you
Why are you
doing?
having that conversation?
What are you doing? You teach English.
But Winston-Salem has some issues, because I don't know if you talked about that on your channel, but did you see the issue where the student was arrested in class?
Mm-hmm.
And that was a white professor, and allegedly somebody from a neighboring classroom called the police. But even in that instance, the woman was like, "Well, I tried to de-escalate the situation, and I tried,"
I
and
saw
I was
that.
just like, "Ma'am, I don't know. Let's just tell them y'all might need to reevaluate some things y'all got going on down there. I don't know. I'm just
I mean, president, provost, whoever, chancellor, somebody
somebody.
might somebody might lose their job because this seems like it's no institutional control over there.
It's something going on over there that's not okay."
But yeah, I read this story and I almost lost my mind. I said, you got a lot of nerve as you descended from the Caucasus Mountains to try to come down to this HBCU and project on them and tell them what they can and cannot label you as. Sir, if you don't go sit down somewhere real fast,
Right.
please go
El-
sit down.
So my suggestion, El Teddy, is that we do this tag on it. Is that we do this last article, and then we save that the one that had the top articles of 2022 for next week. It's sort of like a year in review
Okay.
because we have 15 minutes.
Okay.
So all right. So this one is also coming from the root. Um, it is LA private school that boasted diversity faces shocking racial discrimination lawsuit. I don't know how shocking it's gonna be, but okay, let me drop the link in the chat while I tell you what had happened, child. While I tell y'all what went down. Let's talk about it. This is coming from today. Looked like it was published today. No, I'm sorry, Wednesday. Wednesday. Sorry. New Road School of Santa Monica, California prides itself on diversity and challenging students to question their worldview and perspective. However, while educating a student body that is nearly 50% of color, one black teacher has alleged in a lawsuit that the school is not as progressive as it seems. In a lawsuit filed in LA Superior Court, former teacher Tiffany Wright claims she was subject to a hostile work environment and racial harassment resulting in a wrongful termination. She alleges that she dealt with a mean load of racist insults and even threats. When she spoke up about the racism, she says that she was told to shut up and eat shit. Okay? As true with many organizations that project a certain image or identity, New Roads was completely different from what it claimed to be. At the school, plaintiff experienced almost the exact opposite of anti-racism, being confronted with absurd and offensive comments like "Go back to Africa." What? When they gonna get tired of that one? Anyway, the former New Roads teacher said she eventually saw unequal treatment of teachers and students depending on the race. Wright alleges that a white male coworker told her to go back to Africa in September of 2019, but said no action was taken against him because an administrator said the colleague didn't really mean it. Girl, what? Uh, mm. Along with racially insensitive statements, Wright said that in one school presentation, the word laugh, a photo of an ape was placed next to an image of President Kamala Harris, which was jarring and racially offensive to many students and faculty members. The lawsuit also shows that images of an Asian baby and white man were included in the same slide. Ooh. The school's diversity coalition was dissolved in April of 2022 per the suit. The following month, Wright says her contract was not renewed and she was abruptly placed on leave for the rest of the school year. Her suit certainly presents a disturbing view of what it's like to work at a place claiming to represent voices of everyone in the community. According to a book written by Paul F. Cummins, the school's curator, New Rose, was born from the desire to provide students of all colors and tax brackets with an education model centered on progressive education and community service. Professional artists were invited to teach classes in the arts. Students were sent to do workshops on social justice and privilege, and the overall appeal of the school screamed liberal per the Washington Post. From this school emerged inaugural and national poet laureate Amanda Gorman. That's where she came from.
That's where she went. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is ugly.
Mm-hmm.
New rules, Lord. New roads, democratize. What did I say? Democratize.
Democratizes.
Okay, I said it right. Access to it. I gotta look that one up. That's a new one to me. To its exceptional education that not only prepares students for college, civic engagement, and careers, but also teaches them to embrace the full spectrum of humanity. As the head of the school, Lutheran Williams via Washington Post, the school values are ideal for guiding students, especially given the political climate. Yet, Wright's claims suggest the administration responsible for implementing those values don't exactly embody them.
I find it very ironic that Amanda Gorman, poet laureate Amanda Gorman, who was there at the inauguration of President Joseph Robinette Biden and um, Vice President Kamala Harris, at the same school that are doing satirical jokes with Kamala Harris and apes. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. This is common practice. I always feel like when people have to say, or institutions have to say how diverse they are, you're trying to convince yourself, or you're trying to project that out, and not really, you may not really be that way. Because what it sounds like that now, I don't know the other side. I don't know. Am I echoing?
No, not over here.
Okay. I don't know the other side. I don't know what um the school has to say. What was their reason and rationale for letting her go? But like she said, a month after the diversity coalition or whatever it was called was done away with, then they decided to get rid of her. It's real convenient. Real, real convenient. These
I'm gonna tell you. Oh, go ahead. I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead. No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say the first thing that struck me was nobody denied that that teacher told her to go back to Africa. Their response was, "Oh, he didn't
Really
mean
minute.
it."
Mm.
So y'all know he said it. Y'all acknowledge that he said it.
Mm.
Your response, "Oh, but he didn't really mean it." So
Why did he say it?
no, not that.
No.
So my
I'm asking that. Why did you say it? And
oh,
did you
why did
tell
you
me
say
at
it?
the time
Right.
that you
I
didn't
mean,
mean
my
it?
question is, had he called her out her name and called her a bitch, would the response have been different if he had told her, you go back to the kitchen and cook for your husband? Like, what do you mean he didn't mean it? Like, I don't understand why y'all get to make a decision about what he meant and what he didn't mean. He said it. It doesn't matter whether he meant it or not. He said it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy to me.
Like the whole story just reeks. It just reeks. Like this, but like I said, this happens all the time. You go certain places that tout themselves as being diverse, and you deal with some of the worst racism that you've ever dealt with.
That's so crazy to me. That is,
I wonder
woo.
if I would love for them to have reached out to Amanda Gorman to see if she had any stories about different things that she may have even experienced at that school.
Because when did she graduate? How old is she now?
I think she's got to be at least about 25, 26, somewhere around there.
Okay,
Let
so
me
that
see.
was okay. No, because again, going back to the article where it said about the assembly, I'm like, that was in front of the whole school. So again, you can't come back and be like, oh nah, we ain't do
She's
that.
24.
Okay, 24, thank you. Like, what? Like, what? I'm so I'm stuck. I mean, you can tell as I was reading that article, I was stuck. I was really stuck. I was really like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Child. Well, like you said, it's usually the people that scream the loudest are the ones you got to worry about the most. So,
Mm-hmm.
we're diverse and we accept everybody and we this and we that. Y'all know I always tell y'all to read deeper, go deeper. When I saw, and I'm not gonna call this person out because I do think they're doing a great job at their school. And I mean, from what I can see in articles I've read, I think they're doing a great job at their particular school. But there's a person who started a charter school, and the headline I just read earlier this week was 100% graduation rate. That's great.
I saw that one.
That's a
I
great
saw that one.
headline. But y'all know what I always tell y'all, look at the attrition of the school. You can always have a 100% graduation rate when you get
You
the 50
passed
kids that
everybody.
you want to have at the school. If you start off a school the ninth grade class, the class of 2023, starts off with 300 kids, but by the time they get to their senior year, it's only 80 of them. Then yeah, you've got 100% graduation rate of the 80 that are still there. But where the rest of those 120 kids? I mean, 220 kids. Where'd they go? Did you kick them out? Did they end up transferring to another school? Did you change them and put them in another cohort? Like, these are the games that they play, and they put these headlines up. Or when they say 100% acceptance to college, I don't mean no harm, but in this day and age, that don't mean shit.
I
Getting
mean,
into
you also
college
got to
means
look at the
nothing.
fact that you have people that are being pressured into passing kids. That's all kinds of stuff to conflate statistics and or to inflate, I should say, not conflate, but inflate statistics and so forth. So it's I would like I said, I would love to see um them in this trial because it is a legal trial. I'd love to see who they call to the witness stand and hear some of those stories and see what administration has to say about some of the occurrences and practices that they had at this school.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised.
me either. And like I said, I told y'all I've seen that before, and I know what that really looks like. Like when you say, "Oh, a 100% graduation rate," but then you look at where the kids started in ninth grade and how many are left in that class by senior year, and you're at a charter school, which means that you have discretion on who you keep and who you don't keep in your school. That don't impress me. Show me a regular inner city, because they always do this with the black kids. Like, black kids can't finish high school. They don't never do this with white schools and say 100% graduation rate. It's always a bunch of students of color, black and Latino kids, that y'all feel like y'all got to remind us can graduate from high school. But that's another conversation for another day. And I'm gonna finish this so you can go, El Teddy. But show me a inner city public school that starts off a ninth grade class that starts off with 1,500 kids. Then you let me see that graduation rate, and then I'll tell you whether I'm impressed. And I'm done.
My freshman class was, I think, my freshman class in high school started off with like 1,400. I think we ended up with like 860 something by the time we graduated.
Yeah, mine doesn't count because I know I went to a Catholic school, so mine was basically along the same lines of the charter school mindset. If kids fell behind or they failed, they were gone. Like, if you failed a grade, it very seldom did they allow you to repeat the grade there. You had to go, you had to leave. So I mean, my graduating class, I think we lost. I can't tell you what we lost because I ain't keep up with those numbers. But I know when it came around to graduation, we only had 4 kids that didn't graduate, and 2 didn't graduate. They just didn't walk because they their parents still owed the school money. They graduated, they just weren't able to walk. Again, when you pay tuition, if you ain't paid your tuition, they hold your diploma, hostage. You know what I'm saying? All right, you guys. Thank y'all for being here. Happy holidays. Tonight over on my channel, we will be doing having a Christmas celebration or a holiday celebration. We'll be playing some games and talking some trash. And I've invited some people to come up on the panel and hang out. If they show up, that's cool. If they don't, y'all know we have a good time. And I'll hopefully see y'all there. I'm going to do a quick chat real quick. I just saw something that I want to kiki with y'all about. El Teddy, I noticed the colors, sir. I see the colors. I see how you moving today. I see how you moving
It's
today.
Christmas.
I'm just
It's
it's
literally
crema. It's
Crema.
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 Crema. I
Nah,
just
you
see
talk to
crimson and
me.
cream.
Hey, watch
I'm
this.
sorry, I see
You talk
crimson
to
and
me
cream, sir.
2 weeks from today. Then yeah, you go and listen. 2 weeks from today is we gonna be all about it.
Yeah, I see that crimson and cream, sir. I just thought. All right, y'all, we out. I'm about to hit the button so El Teddy can do what he got to do and I can do what I had to do. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace. But